everyone, Lou here. Now, if you're new here, I am a major Vocaloid fan, and if you don't know what Vocaloid is, it's a vocal synthesizer program created by Yamaha and has received multiple updates and voice banks since 2001. Now, since Yamaha has been releasing voice banks for that long, there is bound to be some obscure Vocaloid Gumi and Kayuki. Gumi is literally in a Project Diva game, for crying out loud, and Kayuki is TikTok famous at this point. And no, Fukase is not obscure. He's pretty popular since everyone knows you can't commercially use him, so... I mean, actually, very obscure Vocaloids. So let's talk about some obscure Vocaloids. Gachapoid. We're starting off pretty simple here, and the more we go into this video, the more obscure we get. Gachapoid was made in a collaboration between Gachapin and Internet Co. As I'm sure this won't be the last time we see Internet Co. They're a tech company whose Vocaloids and their marketing revolves around using famous voice actors and singers like Gact for Gakupo and Aimi Tanaka for Una Otomachi. Now for another backstory, just the Japanese equivalent to Barney the Dinosaur. What confuses me is that, from what I looked into, Gachapin is for very young children, so I'm not really sure who this was marketed for. I can only really guess it's just for people who wanted to remake their childhood? I really don't know. Some theorize that this Vocaloid was made possibly to teach children about vocal synthesizers, but I really doubt a 6-year-old has like the mental capacity to even understand what the hell Vocaloid is, let alone use the program. And there's no way in hell parents are gonna spend about $200 on a program way too complicated for a tiny baby. He also was given a human design that's actually really adorable, just to shame it, but because he is vocally very difficult to work with. Because he has such a strange way of speaking, that was replicated in the voice bank, so it makes him difficult and sounds like duck quacks more than actual singing. He also cited the coin where he sounds pretty alright. Overall, pretty obscure and for a good reason. This little dino guy really did deserve that meteor. Mew. Mew was the debut voice bank for Vocaloid 3 alongside VY1, developed internally by Yamaha. She was based off her voice provider, Miyu Sakamoto, who is a popular singer but unfortunate too well. I believe it's because the day Mew released was also the same day VY1v3, Gumi v3, and See You in South Korea were released, so I am familiar with Gumi, and she's always been a moderately successful voice bank for Internet Co. I did voice bank from what I've heard. She sounds pretty easy to work with. Very versatile and can work with a lot of genres thanks to her clear and slightly powerful voice bank. Mew is a really cool voice bank with a badass box art, and I really hope this video is a good promotion for voice banks like her. Sachiko. Despite having an honestly gorgeous design, Sachiko is pretty obscure for specifically newer vocal. Many newer fans I notice have no idea who she is. Hell, I saw one fan once confuse her voice with Gakupo's, and honestly, I felt my soul age by like 20 years with that. Okay, so Sachiko is another voice bank developed in-house by Yamaha. See, Yamaha often really likes to experiment with their in-house voice banks and explore different genres of music. This is where we get voice banks like the Zola Project for boy bands, or other famous singers like Fukase. The experimentation in this case, enka singing. Now, it's very difficult to describe enka singing and music for those who are curious, but with 50s jazz, it's honestly not my style, and I can only assume that this was Yamaha's weird experimental voice bank to see if enka-styled singing can be possible in the Vocaloid 4 engine, and to possibly get old people interested in Vocaloid software, as this is a style of music that's very popular with the singer. She's also no stranger to the Vocaloid community, as she's done multiple covers of Vocaloid songs, including Miku Miku ni Shite Ageru by Ika featuring Miku Hatsune. She's old at the time Sachiko released in 2015. That's actually pretty cool to see someone that old basically immortalized into the Vocaloid software. I will be honest though that in Sachiko's demos provided by Yamaha, they weren't that great and her marketing was, as it always is with in-house voice banks by Yamaha, fucking abysmal. Although mind-blowing, it doesn't do a great job at showing how versatile she really was. Unlike other voice banks which usually have 2 demos to show the range, Sachiko just had 1. I mean, she was impressive, but she put off a lot of people who didn't plan to use her for enka-styled songs. Many jokes were made that she sounds like Gakupo. I mean, she kinda does, but to be honest, she sounds more like the singer in the Yono Yona dance, who is also a woman, so shout out to the grandmas singing J-pop. Now, by releasing a voice bank with 0 hype to it, no announcement prior, or share a couple posts about it on Twitter for a week and then bounce out, and yet they wonder why some of their voice banks fail. Okay, Yamaha. Although incredible for traditional Japanese singing styles, I'd say she has a lot more potential at sounding amazing in different genres. To see what I mean, I highly recommend hearing Nezu-kun's cover of Gimme X Gimme by Giga P with Sachiko and Gakupo. It dispels that she sounds like Gakupo and shows that she's actually surprisingly good at EDM music too. Kobayashi playing around with her voice bank. She's an adorable lady, and watching her get excited over hearing her own voice is just way too cute. Overall, Sachiko is a super underrated and unfortunately obscure Vocaloid due to Yamaha's shitty marketing and misunderstanding of what she's really capable of. Cool. Oh, now this one, I really don't like Miki from Madoka Magica, Mina Ashido in My Hero Academia, and just recently Keqing self-included. Although she has a really cool design, I have to admit that I'm not a big fan of her voice bank. The result they wanted, and honestly, I feel like she still doesn't work. It's not easily to a point where it sometimes sounds like her nose is stuffy. Also, some people say she sounds like Miku's solid voice bank, and I'm gonna have to be brutally honest and agree. It also doesn't help that she had a very difficult release schedule. She was released right in the middle of Oliver, Yuzuki Yukari, Bruno, and Clara's release. Having that many releases at once, especially Yuzuki Yukari being somewhat hyped, it voice banks, and all she really has going for her is that she's visually very cool. Chika. You guys want to see a voice bank done dirty? Look no further than Chika. Chika is a voice bank developed by Internet Co, whose voice provider is a model and former Japanese idol singer named Chiaki Ito. Though to everyone's shock, she had actual marketing for a change. Chika would immediately fail though as a voice bank. X's demo about a little over a week prior to Chika's release actually. That and many people at the time were very unimpressed with Chika's voice bank and brushed it off as a young but soft voice bank, like that of a softer singing idol voice bank anybody would be thinking about when they think about a Vocaloid voice bank. But I'm gonna keep it real, fam, that I don't like Creepy's music 90% of the time, so that song with Chika he made is not good at all to me, and Cyber Diva's version is way more famous, so I don't know if that really counts. Anyway, I think she has a very beautiful design too. It feels like a 60s shoujo inspired, but also reminds me of the manga series Nana, because the artist for Nana has a very similar art style to me. This is just a very cute Vocaloid with a fantastic design, and it really is a shame she's so obscure because Yamaha decided to fuck her over. What the hell is Bandai doing in collaboration with Yamaha? Apparently Bandai just wanted to help promote the technology of Vocaloid 4, I think. Really weird, but okay. She was also another voice bank that was just dropped and yeeted by Yamaha. The other thing is that really no proof for that. It also doesn't help that Vocaloid 5 would release a few months later on the V5 hype train. You know, Yamaha's probably one of those parents who abandon their kids with someone else for years, only to come back later with another kid to abandon. Overall, bleh. Voice bank, like, her voice and design is cute, but I can't see people thinking she's cute enough to drop over $200 on her, you know what I mean? Also, like, during her release schedule, it didn't help that Luo Tianyi's first Japanese voice bank released days prior, so everyone was just super excited that Luo could finally officially sing in Japanese now. I think that'll be it though. I really did try to get as obscure. Vocaloids isn't obscure because they know who they are, but I'm trying to think of the bigger picture here. A lot of newer Vocaloid fans have emerged over the last few years, so it often means that voice banks in this video are just gathering dust on Yamaha's servers and warehouses. Enough of that though. What did you guys think of this video? Are there any voice banks you think are more obscure than the ones here? As always, let me know down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching! If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're new. If any of you would like to help support my channel in any possible way, my Ko-fi page is down below in the description, along with all of my social media. For any subscribers, new or old, who'd like to help with video ideas, or maybe just want to talk about anime or something, I have a fan server linked down below. See you next time!